Hey Exploration Nation, today I'm going to do a little bit different kind of video, and it's going to cover two topics. One is I'm going to let y'all know about the future of the channel while I do something else, which is put this in there. And I've done it before. It's not too bad of a job, but I figured I'd incorporate the two and make it just a little bit different. And for those of you who have never seen this done, then hope you find it interesting. So stay tuned. Okay, what this is the air conditioner compressor, and yesterday I went down to Middle Georgia and the air conditioner compressor, this thing here, went out. And so in 90 some odd degree heat, I got to do the rest of the day with no air conditioning. Fortunately, it didn't cause any other problems. Sometimes these will lock up and burn the belt up, and I was actually kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and so that would have been disastrous. So thankfully it was just the compressor went, and I caught it quick and shut it off, and also unplugged the electrical out of it, because it was raining off and on, and I thought I might use the defrost. And the air conditioner compressor is set to come on periodically when the defroster is on, so to avoid any further complications and possibly burning the belt up by this continuing to run, I unplugged the electrical just in case. So the first thing we got to do is to undo the retaining bolts here. Hardly call them bolts. In my day they would have been about twice that size, but got to take these four things off in order to loosen the compressor. And the order, I haven't found a good order to do this. Actually, it'd probably be better to take the belt off first, but I don't usually do that. I just take the four bolts off and then let the compressor go forward and loosen the belt enough to just flip it off of there. So we'll get to it, and I'll put you guys back over here. While I do this, now let's see. There we go. All right. I'm using a mallet to gently tap these loose. I'm real lucky with this. Well, actually I don't like to use the word luck. I'm blessed with this. This is a $40 junkyard compressor that's lasted about 7 years. So, can't complain. Normally I wouldn't buy something out of a junkyard, but at the time it was the only viable option. And so, good gracious, that one doesn't want to come out. The price was right, and after several years I went back to get something else from that same junkyard, and they were surprised it was still running. So can't complain about it. And fortunately, in '94, Ford made this an easy job. It's not anything like it is on my 68. My 68 Ford, I have to take it in and have a technician do it. There is no way to do this, but I'll show you what I'm talking about after a while. Okay. And this back one on the far side always likes to give me fits. Okay. Get it with that, yes. Alright, while I loosen these, what I also wanted to talk about was the future of the channel. Those of you who've been following me for any length of time notice that over the past few months, if you've been paying attention to the view count, the views on my videos have gone way, way down. As a matter of fact, it takes days for me to even get 30 views, and I was getting that much and more when I started 3 years ago with a GoPro, minimal editing, thumbnails, are you kidding? Non-existent. So I think the time has come to do something about that. As you know, abandoned exploration is the main thing that I do on this channel, not auto repair. And I think what has happened is that abandoned exploration has declined greatly in its popularity, and that's one of the major problems. And one of the other major problems is they make these bolts a mile long. There we go. But they have to be. But the decline in popularity, I think, is just a waning interest of the audience. And the reason I say that is because a number of large abandoned exploration channels have cut way back on their publishing, or they have quit altogether. There is one very large former abandoned exploration channel that stopped doing it altogether and went with true crime stories, which has turned out to be very, very popular and pushed them over 1 million subscribers. And they have started a second channel where they're going to do things with them on camera. They went off camera a couple of years ago, and they specifically said in their comeback video that they were not going to do abandoned exploration anymore. And so that tells me that the audience for it is just not really there anymore. I need to get a sip of something. Good ice cold Pepsi. And so I think that's one of the problems. Now, according to my analytics, another problem is that the overwhelming majority of my subscribers are no longer watching. There's only like 190 subscribers that have their bell notifications turned on, and the number of views I get from those notifications is normally about 5 or less. That's out of, at the time this video is made, 1,045 subscribers. So when you have a situation where only 3 or 4 subscribers that have the notifications turned on are watching, that's not good. And the ones who don't have the notifications turned on number about 25 that subscribe to the channel and watch, and then that's it, which means over 1,020 subscribers are what YouTube refers to as dead subscribers. They don't watch, period. And those numbers match with the view count on the videos. I have about 25 subscribers that watch. I usually get maybe 30 to 35 views on a channel, on the video, and so that adds up pretty close all the way around. So that's another problem. Now, for those of you who are not creators, those two things right there will kill a video before it ever goes anywhere, because it shows the YouTube algorithm that the content is uninteresting, and YouTube gears their recommendations and suggestions towards what will get them the most advertising revenue. So it kind of works similar to a radio station. You know, the bigger the market share that a radio station has, the more they can charge for their ads, and So YouTube works much the same way. Those two things right there will kill a video. Another thing that ties into this is the click-through rate is normally 2 to 3%, which is way, way low. And what click-through rate is how many people actually click on the video when it comes up in recommended or suggested when they see it. So only 2 to 3% do that. That will further kill a video. And over the past few months, I have a number of videos with a very low view count, not driving views at all. And I'm kind of wondering if the YouTube algorithm flags a channel as having uninteresting content for the viewers for this reason. Paranormal investigations is one of the mother lodes of YouTube right now in popularity. Paranormal investigation channels don't have any problem growing or anything, and I just published one not too long ago and it tanked as well. And so I just kind of wonder if that's not the case, and a couple of the YouTube advice channels have kind of hinted that that might be the case. They haven't come right out and said it, but they have hinted at it. So I kind of wonder if the channel's been flagged. And if that's the case, then it'll be nearly impossible to get the views back from recommended and suggested, and so on. So, another thing, I want to back up a minute about the lack of interest in abandoned exploration, otherwise known as urbex. Creator Insider, which is a channel that's run by YouTube employees, recently said that if you notice a decline in your viewership for your niche, then that means the audience's interest is shifting to something else, and what you have to do is find out what they are currently interested in. So that's where I am right now. Besides having just gotten this loose, and it's still not wanting to come out of there. Okay. But anyway, I'll get that in a minute. So they, after they said that, I thought that that was another factor in the decline in views. I also have another, it's a theory, but there used to be a channel that used to do lives all the time, and I didn't do this intentionally. It was purely unintentional, but I gained several hundred subscribers from interacting with this particular channel. They had fun and games and so on. It was just a fun community. There's a couple in Canada that was on a couple of times a week, and they have since quit YouTube. And after they quit YouTube, I noticed that the views declined. Now that may sound weird, but that goes to the community aspect of YouTube for each channel. Each channel's subscribers are a community, and so when that community broke up, many of the people were not creators, so they don't come watch anymore. You know, many were creators, but many were not. Many that subscribe to my channel are not creators. So when the community and the regular interaction on this other channel stopped, then they stopped coming and watching videos. So the community fell apart. So I believe that's another factor in the decline in views on this channel. So the thing that I have to do now is figure out what everybody is interested in. Now, I recently did a poll on my community tab, and I should have been more extensive about it, but it's not going to be enough for a really scientific result. 17 people voted, which that was a surprising number. It's not that many, but it was still surprising. It's the first poll I'd ever put out there, where I asked what type of content would you like to see. And one was abandoned exploration, other was railroad, and other was wilderness and hiking. And out of those 17 people who obviously subscribe to the channel and are pretty much the ones that regularly watch, prefer to stick with abandoned exploration. Surprisingly, coming in a strong second was wilderness and hiking. That was a surprise. I figured that railroad would, since railroad channels are very popular. The railroad niche is very popular, been popular for a long time, and so I figured that would be second place, with wilderness hiking being third. And wilderness hiking came in a strong second, with railroad down there, something like 9%. So that was a shocker. So I don't know if I'm going to try hiking videos. I may give it a try, try 3 or 4. Hiking is something I used to do all the time. I love it, and I recently have collabed with a couple of other YouTube creators, the Retromanic and John Spike, and the hiking, getting back out there and going to the locations where we were. We had to hike about a mile, mile and a half, 2 miles back in order to get to these places. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and so I might give that a try and see what happens. And that's what you have to do, is try different kinds of videos in order to see what the audience's interest has switched to. Alright, so time to get this belt off of here. I can usually just tilt that forward. That's not happening. Oh, I might be able to slip that off of there. I'm just slipping that off of the pulley. Yeah, there we go. Alrighty. Alright, now comes one of the fun parts. Now, the next part, I'll bring you guys over here and show this. Okay, right here on the back, right there, is the block where the two hoses are connected to the system. If I can hold the camera steady enough. Now this is where Ford has made it real simple. That one bolt takes this whole block off, and the whole assembly comes off, and you just bolt it onto the back of the new one. Of course, you have two little rubber O-rings that go on it, and put those on, and then bolt this onto the new one, bolt the compressor back onto the engine, put your belt back on, you're good to go. And that's all there is to it. A lot simpler than has been in past days. Now I hazard to guess that all of the car manufacturers, if the others had a similar system, they've all since quote-unquote fixed this problem, because they don't want you doing what I'm doing. Alright, now that I've shown you what I'm going to be doing, alright, now here's the O-rings right there that go on each of the ports on the compressor. Right there. Alright. Now you're going to hear a sound and a half. Now what I've done before, all of the refrigerant is going to come out of the system. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bleed it out over there first, so it doesn't blow all over me over here. Which calls for another drink of Pepsi as the cars go by. Okay, I'm back. Now, where I bleed this off while I was up there, I got my gauge. I can tell how much is in there once I start filling it up, and it also has the fitting to fill it up. Let me show you what I'm doing. Once again, right here is the cap. Take that cap off, and that's where you fill the air conditioning system. That's the low side. You got to be careful not to hook your equipment to the high side. If you do, you'll know about it real quick in the most unpleasant manner. But anyway, I'm gonna bleed it off from here instead of just letting it go from over there, because it makes a mess. So while that bleeds out, continue on our other discussion on our other topic here. So in the meantime, between now and if I happen to find some other type of content that people will actually watch, I'm going to be cutting back on the frequency of publishing videos. The collabs that you've been seeing with the Retromanic and I, and John Spike, and there will be some others coming up in the coming months as well. Some of the North Carolina people, we have plans to get together. We just haven't been able to make it happen yet, as a number of them live considerably further north than the Retromanic does. So I am planning to do those, and regardless of the content, I'm going to continue with the collabs. The collabs are an absolute blast. And I never thought about doing collabs when I did this, and the Retromanic was the first one that I collabed with last year. And if I'd known what I was missing out on, I'd have been collabing with folks long before now, but I didn't even think about it. I'd seen collabs on other channels, but it's a lot of fun. So I will continue with those. But as far as going out on my own and finding things to video, unless I can find something that's really good, then I won't be doing that any longer. Although I did to go yesterday. There was a couple of old plantation houses, and we'll just go ahead and give you a brief plug here, and those will be coming up, and I don't know if this video, I'll probably release this video first, so before I release those. But one is in such a deteriorated condition, built in the 1800s. When I saw it, I just happened to run across it online by accident, and it was within driving distance, so I thought I'd go video it. There's another plantation house right next door, a smaller one, which is probably the original house to the original plantation before the larger one was built. That was in much better condition, by the way, and was an absolute time capsule. Everything was left behind. So it was a very good find, very good bonus. And so those videos will be coming up. Things like that I may still go out on and video. The other things, I'm not going to go actively seeking it because of the low viewership and the fact that urban exploration seems to have declined so greatly in popularity. And I've also seen on the YouTube advice channels, I wish that would hurry up, the YouTube advice channels all say, they all agree, and I subscribe to at least 5 or 6 of them, do not keep uploading content that you know people are not going to watch, because it'll hurt your channel overall. See, that's one of the little hints that kind of tells me that YouTube may flag a channel after a certain number of videos that are not watched very much, you know. So I think I'm going to be better off cutting back on publishing rather than just keep on trying to crank out videos week after week, and I've cranked out videos every week for months, and the viewership didn't go up. Instead, it went down. So that didn't help any. And that's one of the things that they tell you to do, is publish consistently. And I even published at the same time on the same day every week, and it didn't help any. Oh, I wish I'd fired up the grill and thrown a couple of hamburgers on. This is taking a while. Okay, now to disconnect the hoses off the back of this, off the compressor. Oh, I guessed wrong. I thought that was a 1/2 inch on that. It's been a while since I've done this. There we go. What is that? 10 millimeter. Figures. And being careful here as well. Just tap that ever so gently to get it started. There we go. And the camera cut off again. I don't think it's the 30-minute cutoff. I think it's just because it's so doggone hot out here. Okay, there's a little more refrigerant in there. Nothing too earth-shattering. Be nice. Yes, that is a 10 millimeter.
What you fixing?
Air conditioner compressor.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, it was a bunch of fun being down in middle Georgia yesterday without it.
Ah!
And a temperamental power window over here that didn't want to go down.
Oh no.
So, yeah.
I bet you were fun.
Yeah, as the saying goes, good times. That was a neighbor's daughter from down the street. And of course, this boat is about 3 miles long. Glad I got the old socket here. That speeds things up tremendously. Almost there. Now this should come out. There we go. All right. We're halfway. Okay, there's a protective cover over the ports on this. So take that off. Don't want to take that off ahead of time because you don't want moisture to get up in here. And I got to kind of put a little bit of a hurry up on getting this connected on the back side. Well, that's nice. There are O-rings already in there. They gave extra O-rings, so that's nice. Hang on to those. Okay, now this can be tricky because the air conditioning lines are not really overly movable. The socket and save a little time. While we're doing that, if I experiment around and find some content that people will watch, then I'll go back to posting more frequently. Now, the thing of it is, I'm not free to travel a whole big bunch. I can travel a couple hours, whatever. And the upcoming collabs that I have with the folks in North Carolina, that's within a day's drive. I can do that. But otherwise, I work a full-time job through the week. So I'm not free to travel through the week in order to go exploring or whatever the content happens to be. So I don't want to get carried away with that until I get these top two in place. Okay, the camera shut off, the battery died, and I don't know at what point the camera shut off. But anyway, got the compressor in, as you can see. Hose is connected back and all 4 bolts tightened in. Now we just got to get the belt back on. And that entails going in there and getting the belt off of the tensioner. You can't really see it from here, so let's go underneath and I'll show you what I'm talking about. That little wheel right there, a little small one there. Did you see? That's the tensioner. It keeps the tension on the belt. And I see a hose that's gotten obliterated down here. Looks like a air intake hose or something. I'll have to check that. But anyway, that needs to come off there in order to get it across the top. And then I have a tensioner. In order to pull that tensioner down, that tensioner moves, and put it back inside the belt and tighten the belt back up. Okay, again, I don't know when my camera cut off, but what I was saying was that as far as content goes, I will not be publishing as often unless I find content that people will actually watch. It's inadvisable to continue publishing content that you know people will not watch. I've heard several of the YouTube advice channels say that, and so that leads me to believe that YouTube at some point, their algorithm flags a channel as having substandard content for the viewers, and once that happens, then it would make sense that nothing you publish is going to be seen by anybody. Recommended, suggested is going to be very low, and so I think that's what's happened here. So I don't think I'm going to be losing out on anything at this point because the views are so low. I will continue the collabs with the folks in North Carolina. I will continue to do those regardless of the content. The content will vary some depending on who I am collabing with, because not all of them do exploration, abandoned exploration. But as far as looking for things on my own, I'm going to discontinue that. And I've got a few videos to release that I've already done. And then after that, it'll be the collabs only until I can find content that people will watch. And at this point, I don't have any idea what that would be. I might give wilderness hiking a try, since that came in a very strong second in my little poll that I put on the community tab, and see what happens there. So in the meantime, let's get this finished up. Okay, this is the tensioner bar, back up where you can see it, that is used to move the tensioner in order to get the belt on. And I've seen guys use an adjustable wrench, but I don't have that kind of strength. That takes a lot of strength to do that. But I've seen them do it, and it would be handy if I would be able to do that. But I have to have this, and it gives the leverage in order to easily move the tensioner in, so you can put the belt across the pulley, and then when you release it, it tightens it up automatically. Now I've got to find which one of these fits it, and then we can go ahead and get going. I believe I believe that does. I think. So, about to find out. Okay, as you can see, everything's running. New compressor is in. And it's running. And the most important thing is that in here, we have cool air. Okay, that wraps it up for this video. I'm glad you joined me, and hopefully you saw an interesting thing or two with the job at hand. And also, I hope you understand the direction that I'm going with the channel. And for those of you that have followed me, particularly those long-term that have followed me from the beginning, I thank each and every one of you, and I thank everybody that's followed me regardless of the length of time, that continue to watch and help support the channel. I really do appreciate those of you that do watch. So it's time to exit stage left, and I'll see you next time.